Welcome back to another episode of That Crazy Triangle Guy. Here we are with the Bitcoin chart, once again trying to figure out the next move. I'll try to keep this brief as we've been discussing this for over a week now. Bitcoin continues to trade inside this asymmetrical triangle, which it's been doing since for the past month and a half or so, or longer. um, We're also dealing with the Gaussian channel. This is the daily chart. Back here, Bitcoin wicked several times into the channel, and there's a camel body partially inside the channel, but really only because the previous day closed at that level. It actually closed outside the channel. But that got me worried, and I figured that Bitcoin would still continue to trade within this triangle and then possibly enter the channel here. When the candle bodies enter the channel, typically what happens is that we will fall through the channel to the more likely than not fall all the way to the bottom of the channel and even out the bottom a little bit. However, this is usually very brief and we recover quickly. And this happens on the chart with the Gaussian channel simply every couple months on average, sometimes 1 month, sometimes three, or whatever. There's no set schedule, but simply to flush out all the loose coins that may be floating around. Um, so these purple bars are a candle pattern that I copied and pasted here of what I thought might be a possible scenario. Let me explain some of the other lines here on the chart. These red curved lines represent the mean band here of the weekly Gaussian channel, and the upper red curve is the top of the um, Gaussian channel. And I have it here on the weekly chart. You can see I've copied these curves from previous bottoms, and they seem to fit pretty nicely here as an estimate. Um, Now, where was I? Here we are. So since then, we did fall into the channel here, but have recovered outside the channel, and currently, right now, are sitting right on the edge. And we've wicked in a couple days, but have not fallen back in. So I don't think Bitcoin really knows what it's doing, and I don't think the powers that be or that are creating this painting that is the Bitcoin chart have quite decided what they want to do yet either. Now, some key events that may trigger a reaction either way are the FOMC meeting, which is represented by this pink vertical line, and that was really lackluster. Basically, we knew what was going to happen, and that's what happened. And this blue vertical line is the CPI data release coming up for April on May 10th. Let me scroll forward a little bit, and you can see over here we have the same thing, the blue here on June 13th and the pink on June 14th, which represent the CPI and the FOMC meetings in that month. um, and here I've estimated the curvature of the Gaussian channel kind of based on these purple bars that I predicted, the pattern that I predicted. However, we don't know what's going to happen. Um, Now, let's look at what has happened in the past when Bitcoin has fallen into the Gaussian channel. And I've picked 4 times in the past where Bitcoin hasn't fallen, and these are the only 4 times I could find where Bitcoin hasn't necessarily fallen all the way through the channel. Now let's see if we can take a look at these before my screens refresh. This is from September. Yeah, it's okay. Here we go. September 2012, where Bitcoin did fall into the Gaussian channel here, didn't even come down to the mean band and was able to pull out. And so let's see, it was 37 days before it fell back into the channel. And after the falling from the bottom, from the lowest point that it fell into the channel, to the height between those 37 days was 36% of a gain. Another time that we did it was here in June of 2014, where Bitcoin had fallen into the channel, and before it was able to pull out, and before it fell back in, was 19 days and an 18% move. Now here is May of 2016. And actually, this is pretty nice. Bitcoin fell into the channel and just to the mean band and held that as support, and then had a pretty impressive move over the next 64 days for a gain of 82% before falling back into the channel eventually way over here. Again, that was 2 months. And here in 2017, January, Bitcoin had fallen into the channel. Now, on this example, Bitcoin had just recently pulled out of the channel and fell back in. So it's kind of an outlier. But again, pulled back out, held it as support here, and it stayed out for 52 days and had a gain of 50%. So those are examples from the past where we did not fall all the way through the channel. However, in most cases, Bitcoin did fall all the way through the channel. That's why I suspected for a number of reasons that was what we were going to do here. First of all, this red arrow is a target from back here, from the leg, from the top of this triangle to the bottom of this triangle, which would take us out the bottom of the triangle, through the bottom of the Gaussian channel, to this key level of resistance at 25,300. Now, how much of a key level of support and resistance that is really debatable, as it really has only been resistance here and here, and we pretty much went right through it at this point, and it was support back here. Other than that, guess maybe it was support here. We haven't had much interaction with that level. So that's one reason why I think that, maybe we don't necessarily need to hold that or retest that as support. But anyway, the reasons why I thought we would go there is this target, this area of support and resistance that we should retest, and it is represents the mean line of the Gaussian channel. So those are all three things that are all interacting right at this point. Um, I don't necessarily believe that that's what we're going to do right now because I don't think if we were going to do that, I think we would have done that back here. So I don't think that's going to happen. But before I get to why, let me revisit the next hypothesis was that since we pulled out of the Gaussian channel and came back up here, I thought that possibly we would then start forming an ascending triangle represented by these dashed lines here before pumping back up to the top here, which is so the yellow arrow is a target drawn from this, taken from this arrow here, from the base of here to the dashed line. But you see a green arrow here too, and that is from the base here to this leg, which also perfectly comes up to this purple line. Now, that is the channel that we've been trading in. You can see here since November. This is the parallel channel we've been trading up and down, mostly in the upper half above the center line of this channel, only falling down here where we've entered into the, well, we haven't fallen down here yet. This is where we're at. Only fallen down here where we entered the daily Gaussian channel. But now here we are back. We didn't break out here. We attempted to, but we weren't able to come up to this channel. So I don't think Bitcoin is strong enough right now to do that, nor do I think it's weak enough to fall all the way down here, because both would have happened already. I think there's a lot of indecision, and we're continuing to trade sideways. Now, the CPI numbers that are coming out, I think that's not going to be a surprise either. That would be a trigger if they were horrific for a drop down to here, or if they were fantastic for a pump up to there. But I think they're going to be pretty much what's expected. The core CPI is going to be relatively unchanged, and the overall CPI with the food and energy is going to be a little bit higher because oil here, you can see for the month of April was much higher than the month of March. So that's a given that that's going to be more expensive. Also in California, we had a lot of we had unprecedented rain here in California, and the crops suffered. The crops that feed most of the country suffered. So produce is going to be higher for probably April and May. So that should have some. I imagine food prices are going to be higher in the CPI report. Back to our chart here. So I don't think we have the weakness or the strength to do either of those extremes right now. I do, however, believe that we will enter the Gaussian channel as we've done many times in the past, but probably something like we did back here, where we just simply came down to the mean band for a few days and then pumped out. And that would be enough to shake out any loose coins that are hanging around and leverage. And so what I believe here is the mean band at about 27,300. Now, if we did come down to there, that would be in line. There's a red line here that I've drawn that contacts this low here as well as this low here. And it's angled upward. So if we were to come down here, we would not be putting in a new low, except for down past this one, but not anything unheard of. We would still be putting in a higher low than these two here, and hitting the mean band, which is a reasonable support area. Also, the reason I don't think we would, I don't think Bitcoin is weak enough to go farther than that. I think it'll probably get all bought up. And here on the weekly chart, you can see too, the 200 weekly moving average is at just over $26,000. So to fall below that would be a pretty big deal, and I don't think that's going to happen. I think 27, I think that's what we might see happen and scare everybody thinking we're going to go all the way down here and cause a lot of selling right here that will get all bought up. And that flush out will then give us the strength we need to move back up here to the top of the parallel channel that we've been traveling in, after possibly a brief consolidation here in this zone, probably a couple days here on the mean band of the daily Gaussian channel. But similar to what we did back here, although we went all the way through and then quickly back up, I think we'll just come down here and then quickly go back up out of the channel and continue our move upward. Now, that would be from where we're at now, be almost a 6% move down. And then from that point to the top of the parallel channel is about 25%. So that seems very reasonable. Now, once we get up here, we do have to reconsider coming back down and testing the top of the weekly Gaussian channel. But let's take one thing at a time. But well, let's not go there right now. Now, there's one more thing that I wanted to show you one more reason why I don't believe we're going to go all the way down here, and it has to do with the altcoins and the altcoin market. But I'm saving that for another video, which I'll try to get out tomorrow. So subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, because I never know when I'm going to get these videos out, and share it with your friends. And we'll see you next time. Thanks.